Ruled by Gondor for thousands of years, Isengard was home to Orthanc, a 500-foot tall impenetrable tower built by the Dunedain, where they might store many of the treasures brought from the Kingdom of Numenor. As their power declined and the northern population dwindled, most significantly after the Great Plague of 1636, Gondor withdrew resources from the region, closing Orthanc and sending its keys to the capital of Minas Tirith. Despite the difficult circumstances, they attempted to retain control by creating the hereditary title Lord of Isengard and charging this noble line with maintaining a permanent garrison outside the tower. For many years this worked well, but as Gondor's influence continued to lessen, the people of Isengard developed friendships with the Dunlendings of the West, relatively primitive hillmen considered enemies of the Dunedain. When Gondor withdrew their people from Calenardon, it was the Dunlendings who moved in to settle the land, intermixing with whoever remained. Yet they acted without Gondor's permission, and so when the land was later given to the Northmen, they founded the Kingdom of Rohan, uprooting and driving the Dunlendings back into the west. While Rohan went on to enjoy a golden age of prosperity, the Dunlendings now considered them mortal enemies, further strengthening their relations with the men of Isengard, who shared a disdain for the Northmen. Yet even so, Isengard remained loyal to Gondor for many more years, until at last a combination of unfortunate events led to their downfall. Not only did the Lord of Isengard's bloodline end without heirs, but the stewards of Gondor lost all interest in this faraway colony, no longer checking up on them at all. Now ruled by a council of the highest-ranking Dunedain warriors, the population of Isengard further intermixed with the Dunlendings, allowing them to settle outside the walls. Events then culminated in 2710, when the Dunlendings seized control of Isengard, killing any remaining loyalists who refused to surrender. As Gondor was unable to spare any of their forces, Isengard became a Dunlending realm, openly hostile to the Horse Lords of Rohan, who were on the decline from their golden age, and so lacked the strength to take them head-on, instead merely sending riders to defend their western holdings. In the coming decades, conflict escalated not only in Rohan, but also Eriador further north, where in 2740 they faced an orc invasion. Fortunately, the warriors called Rangers, descended from the Dunedain of Arnor, continued to patrol and defend their ancient homelands, beating back enemy forces. Yet even so, their victory was incomplete, as a band of orcs led by King Gulfambul of Mount Graham slipped past them to find the prosperous realm of the Shire ripe for conquest. Sounding the alarm, Bandabras Took, the legendary hobbit hero, rallied their defenses, resulting in the Battle of the Greenfields in 2747. Despite many centuries of peace in the Shire, and little to no combat experience, the hobbits fought valiantly and defeated the orcs, with Bandabras striking off the head of their king. By the following year in 2748, Eriador was largely free of orc influence once more. Returning south, the Kingdom of Rohan continued to struggle with Dunlending raids in the west, while also facing domestic troubles at home. Born of mixed Northman and Dunlending blood, the noble Lord Freca made his lands in Adorn rich and prosperous, to the point where he felt no need to attend councils or obey commands from King Helm in Edoras. Claiming descent from King Freawine, who ruled a century earlier, Freca was proud and ambitious, traveling to the capital in 2754 with a retinue of men, hoping to pressure them into arranging a marriage between Helm's daughter and his son Wulf. Yet Helm was a mighty warrior and in no way intimidated, instead rejecting the proposal with insults and disrespect. Enraged, Freca spoke harshly in return, prompting the king to strike him dead with a blow so fierce he earned the nickname Hammerhand. Upon the death of their leader, Wulf and the men of Adorn were declared enemies of Rohan, leading them to take refuge with the Dunlendings, who accepted them warmly. 4 years later, in 2758, Wulf, son of Freca, was in command of Isengard and ready to take his revenge. Allying with other enemies of Gondor and Rohan, the Corsairs of Umbar and their Haradrim supporters invaded from the south, while Wulf led the Dunlendings of Isengard to war in the north. With Gondor distracted and unable to send reinforcements, Wulf led his people to great victories, winning the Battle of the Fords of Isen before capturing the capital of Edoras, slaying Helm's eldest son Prince Haleth, and taking the Golden Hall of Meduseld, where he declared himself king. Driven into exile, Helm Hammerhand retreated to the fortress of the Hornburg where they were besieged. To make matters worse, the region then suffered through 5 months of extreme cold called the Long Winter, devastating both sides of the conflict. Facing starvation in the Hornburg, Helm's last remaining son Hama led a group of men outside the walls in search of food but never returned. Devastated by the loss of his kingdom and both sons, Helm Hammerhand dedicated whatever remained of his life to causing as much damage to the enemy as possible, beginning with the psychological impact of blowing a great war horn every night to announce his coming. He then crept out of the Hornburg alone, dressed in white, to stalk and silently kill as many as possible. Night after night, Helm blew the horn and terrorized the enemy camp, until at last he succumbed to famine and cold, freezing to death in a fighting stance. With the southern invasion defeated and Long Winter at an end, Gondor at last sent reinforcements north, where they combined with what remained of Rohan's army hiding in Dunharrow to drive out Dunlending forces. With the ruler and his sons dead, leadership fell to Helm's nephew Frealaf, born to his younger sister Hild, another mighty warrior who personally led a raid into Edoras, where he killed King Wulf and liberated the capital. Clearing the land of enemies, the combined armies of Rohan and Gondor laid siege to Isengard and starved out the last remaining Dunlendings, after which the land was given to the wizard Saruman along with the keys to the Tower Orthanc, in the hopes this powerful ally might help keep Rohan safe in the future. While Saruman concerned himself with the great realms of the south, the wizard Gandalf was more concerned with the state of his hobbit friends in the Shire, and so spent the Long Winter helping them survive. A special thanks to all those who contribute to Civilization X, like Soul Guide Medical, Warden of the X, Sir Jeremiah Ironside of House Comsia, Warden of the X, Christ Wilder, The Crimson Shadow, and Knight of Iron and Ice, Fred Heartless. If you'd like to help the channel, please go to patreon.com/civilizationx, where you can sign up and get early access to videos, vote on future content, and access the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.